for me is part of a larger issue with Team Dark, in huge quotation marks, but that's a topic for an entirely different video altogether. The Sonic franchise is no stranger to team-ups. After all, it's a franchise all about friendship, forming bonds, war, torture, psychological warfare, dead relatives, family trauma. Or recently, we've had the formation of the Diamond Cutters, the Jackal Squad, and what could be seen as Eggman's own trio. But these are far from the original teams we're all familiar with. Team Sonic, Dark, Chaotix, and Rouge are the first few you're going to immediately go to when you think of team-ups. Team Sonic has the charisma and speed of Sonic, the brains and innocence of Tails, and the brawn and confidence of Knuckles. Team Dark has the ragtag Shadow, Rouge, and Omega forming their team pretty haphazardly with plans to stop Eggman. Their personalities not always mixing quite right. Team Chaotix have long worked together as a crime-solving agency, so they're already very well acquainted and are in this solely for the money. Team Rouge is the weirdest, with the inclusion of Big, but Amy being very caring towards Scream makes sure that the two can form a pretty good alliance. But the focus is on none other than Team Dark. The two other members that make up Team Dark have fallen into the deep dark pits of being merely accessories to a more popular character, many such cases. Where with other trios it feels like they complement each other's personalities, Team Dark feels dysfunctional, and I don't think that's necessarily bad. They're comfortable enough in each other to trust they'll do a good job, pretty much what you get when you make a team last minute. In Heroes, Team Dark's motives were mostly simple revenge. E123 Omega is almost obsessive in his hate of the Doctor, Shadow wanted answers, and Rouge is kind of there. Team Dark is, in my opinion, at its best in Sonic 06, unfortunately. They actually do quite a lot for the plot, as Shadow fights Mephiles pretty often and does all sorts of time travel shenanigans with Chaos Control. And there is a sort of emphasis on Rouge and Omega with the way Rouge's actions change Omega and Shadow's fates. There's some pretty amazing quotes here that make it somewhat apparent that they think pretty highly of each other. Omega, being the most stereotypical murder robot of this franchise, shows a surprising amount of grief over this fate, and this would be the last time the two would be relevant to a plot. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I tend to cover Sonic characters that don't get the attention they deserve. In my Metal Sonic and Amy video, I spoke of Metal Sonic not receiving a lot of content and being generally mishandled. In my Knuckles video, which hardly anyone watched, I talked about how Knuckles was turned into a joke but eventually bounced back. And in my Shadow vs Mighty video, I talked about Shadow's burst of popularity, where Mighty fell into obscurity after his spotlight almost 10 years ago. The thing with those videos is that the characters covered already have or can make a return to greatness, that are all in line with things that Sega has or can realistically do. Mighty can be reintroduced to the franchise in a modern style, seeing as multiple characters made the transition swimmingly. Sonic can become an antagonist or something similar, it's not like they haven't done before. Rouge and Omega are different. Starting with Rouge, not beating around the bush, Sega needs to decide on what to do with this character. Either embrace her or do something else, because a character being this sidelined is crazy even for this franchise. They're very clearly shy about her body, which would be understandable if this franchise wasn't mostly directed towards teens and young adults. I mean embrace Rouge not only for her design, but her role too. In a setting like Sonic Forces, wouldn't a character like Rouge get so much by sneaking around enemy bases, doing what she was designed to do? In Adventure 2, she's breaking into Security Hall to snatch Chaos Emeralds, looking into Project Shadow, messing with technology, striking deals with Eggman and teasing him too. What do you mean that Rouge, the government spy, does almost nothing in Forces of all games? She's not utilized to do what she was meant to be because of Sega's shyness about her body, plus Tails already being the de facto massive technology guy. And the thing is, I don't see Sega doing anything about it, at least not in the near future. She's simply not a character that can carry hype in the way that other characters could. This isn't to say that there's nothing to be explored, it's just Sega generally doesn't care about this gal. If anything, it would be weirder to get an actual backstory from her now of all times, or see her suddenly being relevant. In the game she was introduced, Rouge had a vendetta against Eggman. After all, she worked for the government. But after that game, all of that is thrown away, mostly because Gun is so... Okay, there's so much of a background element that the way I found out that they were involved at all in Sonic Forces' plot was looking through the unofficial wiki and seeing it was revealed in a fucking Tails tube of all things. Wow, I guess it wasn't relevant to see the government oppose Eggman in-game.
GUN, G-U-N, stands for Guardian Units of the Nations, by the way. I put them in their place during my last campaign.
Fucking hell, man, this game, I swear to God. The one that has it worse is this guy. So, between me editing the section about Rouge and beginning Omegas, I actually listened to the chaotix casefiles, which is seriously something I should have done before getting this deep into making this video. So I'll just take it as a learning opportunity. Rouge is great here. No notes, seriously. She is very confident. Oh god, is she flirtatious. Flirtatious is actually cutting it a little bit of slack. She is basically throwing herself at SPO almost every interaction they have. But she's very competent, she's very confident. She is amazing in this in this series of audios. I'm just afraid that it's a fluke. I really hope that the next time we see her in a mainline game, if she appears at all, is that she's written like this. Confident, flirtatious, competent, amazing. No notes. She's really good. If anything, it just makes Omega's part of this video look worse, because Omega has done nothing at all. And Rouge at least has this, you know? I mean, it's an audio series that not even like 10% of the fan base has watched, because like the episodes don't even break like 300,000 views. But that's honestly a shame. Listen to the chaotix casefiles, it's really fun. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Please, Matt! Fucker, for me! For me!
He doesn't show up in one cutscene in Shadow Generations. He doesn't even have spoken dialogue, just some generic lines when you interact with him. Keep in mind, Big the Cat gets a cutscene all for himself. Omega is kind of a parallel to Metal Sonic of all characters. Is direct opposite in creation and design. Like if Metal Sonic had his own Knuckles maybe? Metal Sonic's blue, Omega is red, Metal Sonic's focused on speed, Omega on strength. And Omega, unlike Metal, isn't tied down to the Doctor's programming. In fact, I'd argue Omega hates Robotnik the most out of the entire cast. But we're likely not going to ever see the dynamic being explored, because who's a better foil for Metal Sonic if not Sonic himself? Or Shadow, who is Gerald, Robotnik's father's creation, yet isn't shackled by his past. The most he's got going for him is how he shows grief at Shadow's eventual fate to his own hands, and acts very emotionally when teased by Mephiles, but currently there's not much Omega can offer. You know, it's almost like these characters are only made to serve another character. They only appear and are relevant when that certain character is there, and otherwise don't do anything by themselves. Oh. That wouldn't really be as bad as a problem as it is if Rouge and Omega did more, instead of largely letting Shadow do all the work. I saw a few comments in my last video pointing out that Team Dark's status is strictly about work, implying that there's no emotional link between these three characters, or forget that these scenes exist.
Even if you believe everyone in the world will be against you, know that I'll always remain by your side. Remember that.
Prepare to destroy immediate area.
Hey, Omega, did I ever tell you that Shadow is a robot and... Oh, never mind. Good luck.
You know about cloning. The original must exist somewhere.
Party. I hope you're planning on being here. There's free food.
Don't know where you work at, and I'm not going to assume, but I'm never talking about no, I'll always stand by your side to a fucking coworker. Someone you only interact with because it just so happens you two are in the same place. I think this interpretation does so much to make everyone's characters here just so much more shallow. Oh, Rouge doesn't actually care about Shadow, it's just work. Oh, Omega isn't actually learning human connection for his allies, it's just work. Oh, Shadow isn't moving on from his past and making new connections, it's just work.
I will fight like I always have.
I hated Shadow's year in 2023, not because I even cared that much about the character at the time, but because it was all retreading old ground. Shadow, even before his big celebration, was a character that could easily carry hype, and the fact that it was being used to regurgitate the same plot points and people we've seen all the way back in 2001 is really disappointing. If you're going to keep up this act of not giving Rouge and Omega anything relevant to do, I'd really like it for their team dynamic to be explored more deeply, like a pseudo-team chaotix, where they're almost always seen together, or hell, make them a team of mercenaries. Rouge and Omega certainly fit the bill, and Shadow doesn't seem to mind working for the government. All in all, I think Team Dark deserves to have its dynamic explored because Rouge and Omega have been reduced to little more than Shadow's keychains, but it could be so much more. In addition to Shadow's Groundhog Day ass where he needs to constantly keep moving out from Maria, Team Dark would benefit from having more individual attention on each member, and in the interaction they have with one another. But only time will truly tell whether or not our dearest Batgirl and Murder Robot will get some good treatment. Let's hope, but maybe after someone else gets something, okay Shadow? Until next time, I'll see you, love ya!